Is it on? It is. It is.
We're
Okay, we're on.
on. We
We're on.
made
Oh
it.
my goodness. Hello, Krista Tia. And
Hi,
hello,
beautiful.
and hello, everyone on Facebook. We have been working to have this work probably for the last
Maybe 25, 30 minutes.
maybe 40.
Maybe 40. We've been very patient.
We have. And it's kind of perfect, when we talk about what persistence over time looks like and never giving up.
Totally.
Oh man, the amount of times I wanted to give up and I was like, no, I'm
Yeah.
just going to chill out and we're going to get on here.
Yeah.
Um,
One of it is how you do all of it. So you just got to keep doing the thing.
Absolutely. All right. And we have a cool topic, which is absolutely perfect. I'm just finding us on Facebook so I can see our cool comments rather. Here we are. So you'll see me watching myself. So this is a topical conversation about business, entrepreneurship, and the process of overnight success. It's something that's come to me recently through my journey. I've only really been in this game since May last year, so not that long. Hoping by now I would have, become a 7-figure entrepreneur. Very disappointed, to be honest.
Like, how dare you?
I know. I was like, universe, I said, I was going to manifest $2 million. What happened? And it was really great. I saw some posts that you put out there this year, this more recently. Very thrilled to have you be our guest speaker on Tuesday night.
So excited.
Oh, I'm so excited too.
Yeah.
At Queensland Theatre for the Authentic Professionals 4.0.
Oh my God.
Yes. So absolutely thrilled to have you. As people are coming on, we've got a few people jumping in. Please leave us a hashtag Authentic Professionals, hashtag Here on Purpose, hashtag Krista Tia, the awesome Krista Tia. And for people that may not know you, Krista, why don't you also introduce yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I would love, if anyone has any questions, Jess, I can't see any of them, but if you read them, I'm happy to, I love just adding value and what people want to hear. So
yeah,
let me know. But I'm Krista Tier, and I am a high performance specialist and business strategist. In short, I work with people in the online space and other brick and mortar businesses in creating scale. And that includes, branding, marketing, sales, the internal realm, everything that business includes. I do it because I've been doing it for 13 years, right? So I've got some know-how of what it truly takes and the grit that has to go in behind it, and the knowledge that all wheels have to be in motion. You've got to have the great brand, you've got to have the marketing, you've got to have the sales, but you've also got to have the ability to perform at a high level as well, because that's where the sustainability comes from. So I'm truly passionate about what I do. I absolutely love
it. Awesome.
Yeah.
So this is good. So sustainability, 13 years, the grit.
Yeah.
And I think that was we're getting a few comments here, so I'll just also mention, guys, please, we would love to interact with you. So if you have any questions or you want to, stay engaged with the conversation with us, please make some comments. We'd love to do that with you. When I thought of what we're going to talk about tonight, I thought of, I'm coming up to 8 months, invested quite a lot of money and really thrown myself at something. I came to, I wouldn't give it up, but give up anything that I've done. In fact, I kind of think this is all a part of the process.
It is.
Yeah, because you offer these awesome packages for people as well.
Yeah.
Now, is 1 3-month program with Krista going to make you $7 million forever?
1 3 month. You know what? As I said to you earlier, even before we jumped on this, really depending on where you're sitting, right? If you're starting at 0 and you want to get to $7 million in 3 months, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you're already at high 6 figures, the scalability from high 6 figures to turn into 7 figures is obviously going to be far easier. And there's so many components and factors that are at play as well. As I said to you earlier, I've worked with social media influencers who already have a massive real following, not bought followers, organic, real following that are super engaged, and these people are seen as authorities in their space, but they're just not leveraging their audience. So in these cases, I don't have to build the credibility and the know, like, and trust factor. All I have to do is teach them how to leverage that audience and really start generating income from the people that they've already got sitting in front of them. So in those cases, yeah, it's absolutely simple. But I think that what a lot of people do, like everything else in life, they have no patience. And I've just recently spent 3 days with Gary Vee, and what Gary Vee preaches is, it's a patience game, right? Any business is. And it's just that in today's society, I think that we have so many quick fixes, like if we've got a question, we just, look at our phone and type into Google. If we've got, in a lot of cases, even if we're experiencing anxiety and depression, we just go and take a pill. If we've got we have a Panadol. Everything is such a quick fix. And in business, in order to create true sustainability and long-term gain, now, this is what I like to push home. I like to create long-term game, and that's why I do every component of business, starting with a brand and creating a really fluid brand experience and something scalable. Because if you don't have a brand, you're not going to create sustainability in your industry because you're not recognizable. But then putting in the marketing strategies, then having the sales. And there's a difference between just being someone that's up and coming in an industry and lasting a couple of months, and someone that has the ability to withstand all seasons. And by all seasons, I mean many years in this industry. So I think that having all of these components in place is going to enable people to do that. But if we really take out the expectation that it's just going to happen overnight and it's just going to be falling from the sky and it's going to be easy, and we realize that there is going to be grit involved and it is going to take a new level of courage and there is going to be a whole lot of transformation on that journey, and we have the patience and the willingness to wait in a way that is empowering, not wait, sit back and wait, but wait in a way that, knowing that it's coming and we've got contentment with that process, we're going to create sustainability in our industry as opposed to something that's not going to last.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And look, I think another reason I wanted to talk to you about this, because I got really disappointed. I think I told you I invested in quite a bit of money, and I was like, I can be like, I'm going to be a seven-figure entrepreneur in like 3 months. This is going to be great. It didn't happen. I mean, firstly, I determined that I'm not typically an entrepreneur. I'm social entrepreneurs. I'm actually out to create a community project that creates leadership, that impacts conversations that are happening in society. So I'm not really even going after a product. So it's all a bit bull in a china shop anyway. But there was this element of I felt as though if I bought into a program that it was going to solve everything for me, that, it would fix everything. And I started to see that others did that as well. And someone said to me, why would you, it was actually my friend Nicole, she said to me, why would you want it to take 3 months?
Totally.
Because the journey is the prize. And
50%.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that and thinking, why do you think it is that we want it all to happen so quickly? Like, why is there this need to get it all done so quickly?
Well, I think that people base their happiness in something that's external from themselves. So they use that as their driving force, and money is that for a lot of people. But when you have earned a lot of money, you actually evolve past it and you realize that that's not the thing that brings happiness. It only amplifies who you already are. I think that coming from a place, and I know for me, because I have been in business for so long and I was always used to earning a lot of money. I was in business since I was 18. I had my hair salon and then I had 3 health cafes, and I earned a lot of money out of all of them. So I'd evolved past the money. The money wasn't the big deal. Then when I walked away from a marriage and I took nothing from it, I struggled for money. And that struggle was the most beautiful piece to the puzzle that I needed, because I realized that then I wanted to step into something that was of contribution, because that's what was genuinely fulfilling. But I think that it takes people to get to the point of going, oh, okay, sweet, now I'm at 7 figures. Oh, okay, that's not actually what I want. I actually loved the challenge of the journey. I actually loved the growth and the evolution in that, because then they're searching for the next best thing to fill in the void. But I think when we come back, when we evolve to the place where we truly just want to contribute back to this world, you know, I love money. I absolutely love money because it enables me to create more impact. Don't get me wrong. I just know I've evolved past it. It's so much more than that for me. You know, and the reason that I charge the price that I charge for a lot of my services is because I know that I'm attracting a client that is extremely committed, and I know that I can get a really definitive result with those people because they're willing to invest energetically, because that's all money is at the end of the day. It's just an energetic exchange. And the more you're willing to commit with that energy, the more return you're going to get.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, I must admit, I was quite surprised. I thought entrepreneurs and business owners like yourself were sort of really unattainable, like really hard to access.
Yeah.
And you have, I text you and I'm like, Krista, do you want to do this thing with me? And you're like, sure, let's do it.
Totally.
And you're so willing to provide anything that you can for anyone that's willing.
Totally. Well, I think that what's the point of any of it, right? Like I do this to help people, to grow people, to create change in this world. So if I'm sitting in ego and I'm unattainable, what's the point of any of it? Right? I don't think I'll ever change, no matter how much I scale or how big I get. I don't think I'll ever change, because the people is why I do what I do.
Yeah, and it's great, because I always thought when I started out this journey, and even with the Authentic Professionals, it was, there are these people on this planet that actually really do care about the value, the contribution, the impact, the kind of shared, the collective happiness, you could call it, you know, working together, that kind of leadership paradigm.
Yep.
And yet I didn't see much of it. And I went on this journey, and since I have and started Authentic Professionals, all these people have sort of come out like yourself and been so willing. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Let's get ahead of it. Let's be a part of it. There's like yourself, and then there's Jeffrey Slater, Nicole Gibson, and then there's even more that are down the track. So, was there any sort of turning point for you where you're in corporate, you're sort of being that corporate businesswoman, not really experiencing fulfillment, and then you're like, nah, it's not, I'm not doing it, and sort of change that sort of?
Yeah. So I think that, just to give it context, the entrepreneur part was really super easy for me. And my dad owned 9-figure businesses. He's sold all of them now. But he had 9.
What is a 9-figure? $1 million, 100 million. Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Over 100 million.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so the entrepreneurial part was really easy for me, you know, like that was running through my veins. So for me to go out and start a business, it was just a no-brainer. There wasn't really another option. I never wanted to work for anyone else. It never even really came into my vortex. So just to give context in that aspect, I started from 18, and then it was just like building businesses, and that was fun for me. But then I realized that I really went through a lot of spiritual development at a young age. Like I delved into meditation and, you know, Buddhism and all sorts of things at like the age of 18 and 19. So I had sort of like this spiritual awakening throughout the process, but I think that I was dividing the two. There was like, this is business, this is boss Krista, this is the driving force, hustle and grind. And then there's like, in my spare time, I'm just going to have this little spiritual aspect. And then it took for me to have an almighty collapse in my life. And that's a whole nother story. But I had a lot that I went through in the way of trauma and experience, and being exposed to things that most people will never be exposed to in a lifetime at a very young age. And I think I've always said that pain is our greatest teacher, because I know for me, I look back on everything that I experienced, and anxiety and depression and panic attacks and eating disorders and you name it, I went there. But it was at those moments where I searched for more. And I was like, well, I had a daughter at the age of 22. I was married at the age of 21. And there was while suicide was a thought in my mind, I wasn't going to ever be that selfish to do that to my child. So I just knew I didn't have an option. I had to dig for more. I had to dig for more fulfillment. And what I established was when I was at that point and I was broken and I was at fetal position on the floor and I just didn't know how I was going to get through another day, it was then that I got this overwhelming sense of strength and this yearning to just find the answers. And I realized that it was about helping others. I realized that it was so much bigger than going out and, I used to be that person that would have every Louis Vuitton handbag under the sun. I still drive a great car and, don't get me wrong, I love my handbags, but it was all about the materialistic item and this big facade and all the money and the luxurious lifestyle. But inside I was dying. And I realized in that broken moment that all of that was irrelevant. The money was easy to come by. It wasn't making me happy. And I had to go out there and really allow my true self to come to the surface. And that's passionate, Krista. That's the person that gives so much of a shit about humanity. The person that loves on other people so deeply that genuinely wants to see other people succeed. And bit by bit, I slowly built who I am today. And I'm still growing and evolving in every moment. But in short version, it took for me to break into a million pieces. And then I rebuilt myself in the way that I was supposed to be in the first place.
Yeah. And would you say there's a couple of questions that I do want to get to, but just before I do, because they are good questions, would you say that, and I'm sort of making this up, but I'm curious, it's almost like what I can see is that people spend most of their life trying to avoid that breaking point.
Totally.
When actually the breaking point is that sort of, it's like a
turning point.
It is a turning point, isn't it? It's like, why are we avoiding experiencing these experiences when actually they're the real key to growth?
Absolutely. Every single time, and we're always faced with it, right? I think it's really interesting because it's like I see it as a crossroad. Even when I left my ex-husband, there was abuse involved and it was a pretty big decision. I'd been with him for 10 or 11 years. And it was all that I knew. And I actually saw myself at this crossroad. And in one direction was the life that I wanted, the version of Krista that I envisioned. And in the other direction was abuse and prison and this, like, literally the polar opposites. And even maybe mid to end of last year, I reached the same thing. It was like at this crossroad, and I couldn't get it for something just simply out of familiarity that I didn't deserve, or I could take the brave route and go, no, I'm going to go after that thing. I'm going to go after the life that I desire, and I'm not going to settle ever in any aspect of my life. And in that crossroad, there's breaking because there's discomfort. And I think that's why so many people just don't get out of their goddamn way, is because they're just doing the safe thing. But when you acknowledge the pain and know that it serves you, it's just that people give it the wrong meaning. The pain serves you because it forces you to grow. We don't learn anything in happiness and joy. We learn in the suffering. And not that you want to force suffering, but you've got to be okay with it because it's part of the human experience.
Yeah. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to fail just a couple of times.
A couple of times. The thing is, though, I actually love failing.
You do. I notice it's all in all of your posts, actually.
Yeah, like I talk about it all the time because so many people are like trying to avoid it. No, you got to do it. That's the only way you learn. It's like everything in life. That
would almost be like when we say this overnight success, right? It's like you do this and you're going to get this in a few months. It's almost a fix to never failing. I don't know. That's what I just saw as you were saying that. I'm like, well, why would someone want to shortcut the process? Sorry.
But I don't think, here's the thing. As someone that's been in business for a long period of time, I know that there is no shortcut. I can get people results really freaking quick. What I'm more interested in is how sustainable it is.
Yeah.
Right? Like I could say to anyone, I can get you to this figure in this amount of time. I'll guarantee it. But after they work with me and it all comes crumbling down because the foundations haven't been built, that doesn't feel good and in integrity for my brand. Right? So there's one thing to get a quick fix. It's like anything, you know, you get a quick fix in anything. It's like you want to lose weight and you go and take Duramine. You're going to lose weight very quickly. Is it going to last in the long term? Absolutely not, because when you stop taking the Duramine, you're going to regain all of that weight. It's no different to business.
So when you stop taking Christatia, it's all the foundations that didn't exist.
Right? So that's why actually do it properly. Do the brand, build the brand legacy, create the content, build your funnel throughout your business. Make sure your marketing's on point. Make sure that you're internally aligned with what you're doing. If you love what you're doing, you never work in a day in your life. Make sure that you can sell. You've got to have all of the wheels in motion in order to create the sustainability.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll look at these questions because they're actually related to what you're saying.
Questions.
Yeah. So Elizabeth, we'll go back to you. What do you think is the most important characteristic for success?
Discipline.
Yeah.
The ability to remove distractions, and that comes back to discipline, right? Like motivation is only ever temporary, and usually motivation for a lot of people it lies within something that's external from themselves, whereas discipline is internal. And discipline is the ability to remove the distractions. It's the ability to say no when something doesn't serve you. It's the ability to create boundaries. It's the ability to stick to what you said you were going to do. It's the ability to have structure throughout your day. And all of these things are very necessary in creating success. Yeah.
What would you say your access to discipline was, to actually the practice of discipline?
It was innate for me. Yeah. I was innately super disciplined because it's all I knew. It was my whole map of the world because that's all I grew up in. I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. And the thing is, though, I think when I tell this story, a lot of people think that I've just had things handed to me on a silver platter. And while I had a very privileged upbringing and I did have a lot more than what most did, I was also I also had a very strong moral compass and a deep level of gratitude. I was never spoilt. And even when I walked away from my marriage with $0, my mum even said to me, she goes, making you struggle was the best thing that I could have ever done. She did it deliberately. Mum and dad deliberately made me struggle. And I love them so deeply for it. So everything that I've created now is based on my own success. It has nothing to do with my parents. But I think that it was super innate. I mean, what does have to do with my parents is what they've inbuilt within me, the honesty, the integrity, the authenticity, the discipline, the beautiful example that I've had. But I think for a lot of people, discipline needs to start with structure. And what you do repeatedly becomes a new habit. It's just that what a lot of people do is do something. It's like they go, oh, well, I went for a run for like 3 days consecutively and I still haven't lost weight. I don't know why. It's no different with discipline. We have to build, right?
Yes.
We have to build it. We have to implement it daily. We've got to figure out our structure. You know, I implement meditation into my everyday because I just love the way that it makes me feel. It brings me back to center. It makes me feel more grounded, enables me to operate far more effectively. But I just think, here's the thing. We will always prioritize things that are important. If something's of importance to us, we are always going to make time for it. And it's just that a lot of people are in business simply to make money as opposed to doing something that they're truly passionate about. And when you're passionate about something, you don't have excuses.
You'll find ways. That is the big distinction for me. When I quit my job finally, was when I was willing to live out of a van for what I was doing.
Totally.
It was like, I don't care what happens. I don't care what I'm doing. I use that sort of term now. I don't care what struggles I have to go through. It's going to be worth it.
Yep.
So how does and I just want to go. I'll go back to the point as well because we have been going for a little while. So there is no overnight success.
Not a sustainable one. Absolutely not.
So you might have, you know, like I said, I'm a 4-figure business owner, right? So I might have 4 figures in the bank this week and it comes, you know, it does come and then it goes and it comes and it goes. And then it might be 5 and then it might be 6, whatever. But actually to build something over time, there's a process and it's like this. Whilst
totally
you're working that out?
Yep. And I think that I think there's a lot of hype around like 7-figure business owner or 6-figure business owner. But what I'm more, and I always have been interested in what's in the bank account, because people can say that they earn 7 figures, but if they're out over payment plans, I've heard so many people go, oh, I earned like 100 grand this week. I'm like, what, 100 grand in your bank account or 100 grand stretched over a 6-month period? Because very different things. And I think that people just play into the hype of like a 7-figure entrepreneur. But it just doesn't feel good to me, because I think growing up in a very entrepreneurial family, I know that my dad was a 9-figure business owner, and I know what they had in their bank account and the assets that they had. But I know that a lot of people can say that they earn a certain amount of money and they're hocked up to their eyeballs in debt. So I just think that it's so broad spectrum when, and that's why I don't really talk about money very often. I mean, number one, I've evolved past it. And number two, I just don't understand the hype of it, because at the end of the day, money's only the amplifier. It's only amplifying who you are. So I define true success as abundance in all areas, abundance in relationships, abundance in health, abundance in, money as well, but abundance in just living life passionately, not just the money part, because trust me when I say it doesn't make you happy.
Yeah.
You're not already happy,
What do you think is this need to kind of, and I think I noticed this. So I had this, I nailed something. I nailed this online presence. I nailed something socially, right? And organically too. I didn't even pay for followers. Right? I nailed something, I know. So I did that. And then I was like, oh, this is really great. And I noticed this kind of experience of the ego, like, oh, I've got sort of this fame and I've got these cool people. And then there was this need to like, oh, I'm not making money. Like I'm a fraud. I'm not making 7 figures. I'm not making that kind of money. I felt like I had to hide it. And so I noticed there was this pull for me to then kind of say I was something I wasn't. And then when I didn't see the money, then I had to kind of make up for it by the way I was looking or putting myself out there. I was like, why am I doing this? I sort of checked in with myself. I'm like, why am I doing this? Yeah. What do you think that is? Like, what do you think? Why do you think there's that kind of need?
I think it's just a need for significance and validation, which we all have in varying degrees, right? Like I used to have a deep need for significance, and now I just don't care. Because I think that, and it just comes back to, we all evolve in different areas of our life at different stages. So I think it's completely normal, and people seek significance and validation in different ways. I mean, other people seek significance and validation in taking half-naked photos, and that's perfectly fine. No judgment there, but like, that's the type of attention that they're using to get that significance. I know for me, a long time ago, as much as, I love compliments and, I love to receive, and that's beautiful. I love people wanting to be in my vortex for my intellect and the value that I had, right? So, but I remember a long time ago, I was exactly the same, and it was really just back to the awareness of like, hey, it's not outside of me, it's within me. And when I get to a place where I know who I am, I know to my core who I am, and I love that person so deeply, none of it matters. Because the thing is, while we're attaching to the good, we're also going to be affected by the bad. And the bigger we become as a brand, the more polarity we have in both of those, right? So with the dark comes the light, with the good comes the bad, with the ups comes the downs. Everything is in ebbs and flows and balance all of the time. So if we're attaching ourselves to the good, or the people that are sending us praise and saying we're amazing, we're also going to be attaching to the bad as well, the ones that don't particularly like us, or that hate on us, or that get triggered by our shit. So what I believe is not attaching to any of it, and just knowing who we are to the core, knowing the intention. Otherwise, it's emotional volatility, right? When it's out there.
Yeah. No, it's perfect sense. And I was just thinking, my experience, right, was at some point I got that I'd actually made a difference online. However I did, I didn't even mean to, I did. And
you know what, sister, if you made a difference to one person's life, that's enough.
But it was being myself. I wasn't actually, it was totally just being myself. And I was, I did do an amazing course, and they did say, just get out there as you are. Like, don't try and be anything you're not, just be yourself. And then boom, that showed up, right? And then I noticed, because I didn't have the bank account figures that I thought I should, I felt like I needed to overcompensate or hide it, or, oh my God, if I don't have that, like, it was funny. It was like I attached something to it, right? And then I came back to, I could just tell people I'm starting out. Why do I even have to hide that?
Totally.
Yeah. So we've got some really great stuff here. So
I love it.
Someone just said, pain is your greatest teacher. Thank you for opening up and sharing.
It's an honor and pleasure.
Yeah. Too many people avoid the breakdown for the breakthrough. Oh, everyone wants the breakthrough.
I've always said, just on that, the magnitude of the breakdown is the altitude of the breakthrough. And I remind myself of that.
Yes.
In moments where I'm feeling like I'm just crumbling to pieces, I know that on the other side of that is something so magnificent.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It never feels like that at the time.
It doesn't. No way.
It never does.
No.
And then Kel, hello, Kel. I love how the most amazing souls have had to overcome the greatest battles.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people struggle how to transition and monetize their passion, especially when they've come from the place of struggle. And
on that, could you reread that statement?
I think the last part, I think a lot of people struggle with how to transition and monetize their passion.
Yeah.
Especially when they have come from this place of struggle.
I would leverage the struggle. Like, you even look at some of the best in the world. Tony Robbins, he came from nothing.
Yeah.
A lot of people came from nothing. And it's just that they leverage the struggle and the pain to make that their driving force. But that story is on repeat, and like the person is identifying with that, and it shows up in so many aspects. I could have chosen to identify with the single mother story, and it would have been, maybe a whole lot easier at one stage of my life just to live on government benefits. Is that empowering? No. Was I going to settle for that? No. Right? So there's so many stories that we can identify with. I could have been the person that had the ex-husband that did this, and this. And that meant that I wasn't going to create an empire. I could have done multiple things throughout my life. And I could have been the person that I came from a really poor family and I didn't know how to monetize my passion. It's really up to you what you believe to be true, because what you believe to be true, you will always find evidence of. Yeah.
And it sounds like what you did is you had the option. You went, I could be the single mum. I'm letting that go. I'm not taking that story. That story is not going to serve me.
Yep.
Or, I could be someone that became the victim of abuse and think about the guilt and shame and why this happened to me. It's an option, but I'm letting go of that attachment, and I'm, know you well enough to know you sent them love and you went, okay, I'm going to go and do this anyway.
Absolutely. And there was like this burning fire in my belly. Right. And I was like, I am literally, and I think that's the place that you need to get to. I literally want to break free of every single construct and story and identity so that I can prove to others that they can do it. If I can do it, they can do it. I just want to be the example.
Yes, that's so good.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that point, because I've had it myself, it's almost like that's those moments.
Yeah.
That's where you really experience choice.
Oof. Big time.
Yeah. Because other than that, you're sort of just getting given things, you're accepting, it's la, 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 but there's like dark night of the soul moments.
Yeah.
It's like you really get back to like nothing and you go, choose.
We're at that crossroad, right?
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. It's like, and we're having those moments constantly. I even spoke about this on Instagram today. And it's like, so many people talk about what they're wanting to create, and whether that's in the way of a business or whether that's the relationship that they're wanting to call in, whatever it is, they're talking about it, but being vocal doesn't have anything to do with action. That's actually really good. Being vocal doesn't have anything to do with action. So just talking about it isn't enough. We can say, let's use relationships as an example, because I've actually been in this situation multiple times. We can say, I'm wanting to call in this person, and these are the qualities, and this is what I want to experience, and these are the emotions that I want to feel. And we can have this really clear vision and speak about that perfect partner for us. And then along that journey, we're going to be tested. And we might fall into relationships that are nothing like that, but they're familiar and they're easy and they're convenient. And we just stick to those relationships. Because we're not acting in accordance with what we say we want, we're never going to get it. It's different in any other aspect of life. So we can say all day, that's what I want, that's what I want, that's what I want. But if we're not actually cutting things off, I even recently did this. Went out on a couple of dates, not right, nope, not right, nope. I send you away with love, but I'm not wasting my time. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
You get to be really certain in your decisions. And when you're certain in one aspect of your life, you're certain in another. And it's no different to if someone says, hey, yo, let's collaborate in business. No, thank you anyway.
Yeah.
I'm very definitive in every aspect of my life because I know if I've got uncertainty in one, it's going to feed into all of them.
And how did you, like, you can hear, like, you energetically hear your clarity in decision making.
Yeah.
How did you get to that? Because I no doubt people want that, like, right? Everyone wants clarity. How does Krista just sit down in 2 seconds? Yeah, no, you're done. Next.
I think we all know, right? And a lot of us get FOMO. You know, like, and it's taken me a long time because I have been very indecisive in the past and I have been very much a people pleaser. And I realized the more that I grow, and I feel like I'm growing so exponentially, especially probably in the last year, I think my growth is literally day by day for all of us. But I feel like I'm really stretching the capacity consistently. And with that comes firmer boundaries. And my definition of love is loving and honoring myself enough to have those boundaries of things that don't align and saying no so that I can inspire others to step into their higher self and do the same. So I think that in the moment, it's really a matter of, like, even last time we spoke on a live, it's really a matter of understanding where that intuition is and using what I call God's voice. You know, like, we have a God voice that is like the first thought that comes to mind is a yes or a no. And then because what happens is, like, that unconscious thought is the right decision. I mean, there's never a right or wrong decision because even if it is the wrong decision, we always learn from it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that intuitive thought is right. And then what happens, our mind comes into play and we have all of these thoughts and our ego comes in and talks us out of all of the good stuff. And so it's really just getting in tune with what feels right in that moment. And I think when you've got clarity on your vision and where you're going, you know what's in alignment with that. I know for me, my business is so clear. Like, I have got a target and there is a straight line to hit that target. And I know what's going to either throw me off track or deter me and what's going to be in alignment with it. And for me, collaborations in certain circumstances just isn't in alignment with it. Right? Like, collaborations in ways with me doing speaking events or me jumping on Facebook Lives, that's what I love. But if someone was to say, hey, let's co-create a program, no, like, right now, I'm going down the track, this is where I'm headed. So I think that it's just really tuning in and listening and having the bravery and courage to listen and then act as well.
Yeah.
I've always had an amazing ability to never settle. And I think that people just settle too quickly. They settle for shit in their lives. They settle for mediocrity, whether that's in health or whether that's in business or whether that's in finances or whether that's in relationships. There's just too much settling for mediocrity when we are here to have it all of it.
Yeah, awesome. And I think someone once said as well that sometimes we get guilty because we actually enjoy things and have things when it's the opposite. So we live in a world where we've got stuff, right? Like you said, have it all. Yep. How good could you have it? Like, not you, but anyone, right? How good could you have it? Yep. Sometimes we think, well, I've got a house and I've got a job and, you know, I got this and I've got that. So it's good. But it's not really what you want. And you feel guilty because you've got stuff that other people don't.
Yeah. I think it's the way that we've been programmed though, right?
As opposed to the happier, more satisfied and fulfilled we are as individuals, going after things that matter to us, that are important to us, and chasing down things that are our dreams, no matter what they are.
Yeah.
If more people were doing that, this world would be a very different place.
Very different place.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe if everyone was doing what they were passionate about, like that alone would create a whole lot more success in every aspect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll just go see if there's anyone else. And there's a couple of one others here. Yes, true. But we are not getting success. It is easy to speak, but it's practically very tough. That's what Jaya said.
I started from zero, so I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is practically tough. I'm right there.
It's practically tough, especially, you know what? I had heaps of other stuff that I added to the mix as well. I've got full custody of my 8-year-old daughter. I'm a full-time mum as well. So yeah, it's tough. It's your attitude towards it though. And if you're telling yourself on a regular basis that it's tough, it's always going to be tough. I remind myself every goddamn day that I get to do this. Not I have to, I get to. Because I have the privilege of living this human experience and this human life. I woke up, and so did you, and so did everyone that's watching. Let's really put things in perspective. There were some people that didn't wake up today. They didn't draw another breath, but we all did. Right? So what's really tough? You know, like it's what you make it. This life is what you make it. And for me, because I have experienced so much depth, running 3 businesses on my own, working 14-hour days with a 3-year-old child that was ADHD and used to punch and spit on me, I know tough. Right? And an ex-husband that was incarcerated, I know tough. And it's not that tough because we're alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's beautiful, right? Like that should fuel you.
Yeah.
Every waking moment, no matter what is happening, you know, it doesn't get easier. You just become better at it. The bigger your business, the more stress you have.
Yeah.
It's not that it's different now than when I was building, you know.
And you went through all the experiences. It's not like with everything that you just described that there weren't moments where you were in the absolute experience of failure, wanting to quit, give up, all of it.
I've been
went through it. That's human. Yeah, like that's human.
Times.
That doesn't go away. You're like Krista just doesn't. You made a different choice.
I remembered why I started, and it wasn't about me.
Yeah. How would you? Because I think it's a really good point that Jay is making.
Totally, I really admire it because it's such a good conversation topic.
It is. It's like how do people get, because even, you know, Kel's watching here and Kel's asked me this question as well. How do you get good at giving up the meaning so that you can move forward to a purpose? Because you kind of have to practice. I practice that daily.
Awareness in every moment.
And awareness is growth. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I always recommend to people, put yourself in personal growth programs. Go check yourself. Teach yourself how to get aware, however it looks.
Totally. And I mean, everyone's programming is different. I've always said, like, mentors have mentors, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've got mentors.
Yeah, you just went and spent who did you go see? Gary Vee.
Yeah. I mean, I've personally spent probably about $80,000 on my own personal development in the last 3 months, you know, so you don't get to a certain stage and stop.
No.
Right? So I think that what's really important is that, number one, if you feel like you can't do it by yourself, get a coach or a mentor who you are inspired by, who maybe scares you a little bit because that person's probably going to hold you to a higher account. And number two, it really comes back to, number one, awareness in every moment, because once you have awareness, you have choice. I find what a lot of people do, and this was a real turning point in my life, while I was sitting in the place of a victim, and while I was blaming everything that was external from me for the way that I was feeling, while I was blaming my ex-husband, while I was blaming, you know, him for the way that I felt, and this person for the way that I was showing up, and this person, and I had all of these excuses that were all outside of me, I couldn't do anything about it. But when I fully took ownership, when I went, you know what? I allowed it. I allowed that, and I allowed that, and I didn't have a boundary there, and I chose to stay in the relationship, and that empowers the shit out of me. So I'm going to own the whole lot. And now that it's mine, I'm going to change it all. because we can't do anything with that out there. It's not our job, or we could never have an expectation to change someone else. All we can do is control how we react and respond to it.
Yeah.
So I think that the meaning really comes back to, number one, having the awareness, not blaming anything external from us. And then once we have the awareness, we have the choice to change it. But it's in the incremental moments. It's not something that just happens overnight.
Yeah. Practice. And I think it's a good point what you just said, actually.
Yeah.
You spent $80,000 in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
I spent around $50,000 in the last 4 years. Like I said, I'm a 4-figure entrepreneur. So,
though, like, that's about 10 times more than most.
Yeah, right. Because I was clear. We are human beings that have a human experience.
Yep.
The human experience takes mastery. The actual living with the mind and the kind of shit that it spits out on the daily takes practice to be in control of, or to be in the driver's seat of. You kind of can't control it. It's just all there. It's more of an allowing. All of that, no matter who you are, even Gary Vee, is going to have a mentor.
Of course.
So you could almost say, to Jay's point, just, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like you could almost say that the difference between someone that's out of the game or in the game is someone that's gotten to the point where they've been able to take full responsibility for everything for no reason except because it's going to give you power to shift it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And forgiveness is a beautiful thing as well, right? Like, because I think when we take full responsibility and ownership, we have the ability to forgive. Because when we don't forgive, we're only hurting ourselves. There was a beautiful, actually, I'm not going to go there because that conversation will take too long. But at the essence of what I was going to say, the story that I was going to say is like, just forgive quickly.
Yeah.
3 regrets that people have in life is the unspoken word, not forgiving quick enough, and not taking the leap of faith. So don't be the person in the rocking chair at the end of your life where you are thinking, oh shit, I wish I told that person that I loved them. Oh, I wish I told them that I forgive them. Oh my gosh, I wish I created that life and I just took that goddamn leap of faith. I think that sometimes it takes to get to the point of a near-death experience for people to then turn their life around. Don't allow it to get to that point.
Yeah, a tragedy.
You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
Just that so many people are just living day to day and they're just settling, and then it could all be over tomorrow. We don't know. Why not have an impact and a legacy while we're here? Because we don't know how long it's going to last.
No. I get it. I mean, I could keep talking to you, Krista, but I know that I've firstly made you wait 40 minutes to get on here.
I don't mind.
And we've been going, I don't even know how long we've been going for. Let me have a look. But 45 minutes. We have, oh my God, stop it, Jess Claire. I'm dead set trying this on every day. Okay. So I was talking about her. She's the one that asked the question. She's the one that asked the question. How do I give up this meeting? How do I do this? I couldn't do it on my own. I had to get a coach.
Yeah.
And getting coached, getting practice at doing that was the hands down best thing. As it turns out, there is no actual inherent meaning at all to anything.
No.
So
it's a game. This life is honestly a game.
We all make stuff up. Our brain's designed to just make things up. None of it's actually really going on. Boom. Controversial, sure.
But it's true, right?
I know, but for some people that should just blow their mind. Yeah. But is there, I don't think there's anything else unless there is something you want to say. I think I'll just go.
Questions?
Any more questions? No one's asked any more questions. Everyone's just like, I love this passion. This is awesome.
Awesome.
You're getting lots of love hearts. And I'm so thrilled to have you at Authentic Professionals this Tuesday in Brisbane.
Excited.
So excited. Guys, I will drop the link in here. Can you all please come and see this incredible woman? Would love to see you.
Get in the room.
Yes, get in the room.
Stage is my favourite space.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Chris is going to be speaking there. If you have any questions or anything you want to say, please ask in this thread. And Kel says, thanks, girls, so much for inspiring. I've learned so much and I'm inspired and motivated. And Kel's like, thanks, come back again. I know they're in North Queensland, so I don't know that they'll be able to make it. But thank you.
Beautiful.
And I will see you on Tuesday. I look forward to seeing you. Yes, Tuesday night.
Cool.
Thanks, beautiful.
Bye.
Have a great night. See ya.
Bye.